Before this samosa ever reaches a plate, it passes through heat, pressure, and precision most people never see. What looks like a simple street snack is actually the result of a fast-moving factory line where dough is stretched, fillings are measured to the gram, and thousands of samosas are shaped every single hour. In this video, you're going inside a real samosa factory to see how crispy shells, perfectly spiced fillings, and that signature crunch are mass-produced at scale. Stay with us, because once you see how it's made, you'll never look at a samosa the same way again. Before any filling is mixed or oil is heated, everything starts with dough. Inside the factory, large industrial mixers work non-stop, combining flour, salt, oil, and water in exact ratios. This isn't done by guesswork. Sensors and timers control every second, because the texture of the dough decides whether a samosa will shatter crisply or turn chewy after frying. The mixer kneads with force no human hands could match, producing smooth, elastic dough in massive batches. Once ready, the dough is transferred to rolling machines. These machines flatten it into long, even sheets, thinner than what most homes could achieve. Consistency matters here. If the sheet is too thick, the samosa won't cook evenly. Too thin, and it will tear during filling. Workers constantly monitor the surface, checking for bubbles, cracks, or dryness. Any imperfect sheet is removed immediately. Next comes cutting. The dough sheet moves forward on conveyor belts and is sliced into precise strips and shapes. Every piece is identical, ensuring that each samosa folds the same way later in the process. This uniformity is what allows factories to produce thousands per hour without losing quality. At this stage, the dough still looks lifeless, pale, and soft. Nothing about it suggests the golden crunch people love. Temperature control is critical here. The room is kept cool to prevent the dough from drying out or fermenting too quickly. Even humidity is managed, because moisture changes can affect how the samosa shell reacts in hot oil later on. This early stage decides everything that follows. What looks simple is actually the foundation of the entire operation. A perfect samosa doesn't start with spices or potatoes. It starts with disciplined dough, shaped by machines, watched by trained eyes, and prepared for the next crucial step, filling. Once the dough is ready, the heart of the samosa takes shape. Inside the factory, the filling is prepared in giant steel kettles, but the rules guiding it feel old, almost ancestral. Experienced cooks oversee the process the way grandmothers once did, relying on timing, aroma, and texture, not just machines. Potatoes are peeled, diced, and boiled until just tender, never mushy. That rule matters. Overcooked potatoes absorb oil and ruin balance. Peas are added next, followed by onions sautéed separately so their sweetness develops before joining the mix. Every step follows a simple principle passed down for generations. Ingredients must keep their identity. Spices arrive measured, but not blindly trusted. Turmeric, cumin, coriander, chili, and garam masala are added in layers, not all at once. The mixture is stirred slowly, allowing heat to wake the spices instead of burning them. Supervisors lean in, smell the steam, and adjust. If it doesn't smell right, it isn't right. That's the grandmother rule in action. Salt is added last. Always last. This prevents moisture loss and keeps the filling firm inside the shell. The mixture is then cooled deliberately. Hot filling would soften the dough and break the seal later. Patience here protects crunch later. Once cooled, the filling moves to automated dispensers that portion it perfectly into each dough pocket. Machines do the work, but the recipe itself stays traditional. No shortcuts. No rushing flavor. This stage proves something important. Even inside a modern factory, samosas still follow rules older than the machines making them. Respect the filling, trust the senses, and never ignore the wisdom that built the recipe in the first place. It is tradition scaled up, where memory guides machinery, and flavor survives speed, proving some rules never age, no matter how fast production becomes in the end. After the filling is portioned, the the samosa finally begins to look familiar. This is where folding happens, and it's where many factories fail if they rush. Inside the line, dough pieces are gently curved into cones, either by hand-assisted guides or precision molds. The motion is smooth, never forced. That's another old rule carried forward. Dough remembers rough handling. Each cone receives its measured filling, then moves to sealing stations. Water and flour paste is applied sparingly along the edges. Too much paste makes the shell gummy. Too little causes leaks in hot oil. Operators check seals constantly, pressing just enough to lock the shape without crushing it. Grandmothers used fingertips. Factories use calibrated pressure, but the idea is the same. The shaped samosas rest briefly on trays before frying. This pause matters more than people realize. It allows the dough to relax and the seal to strengthen. Skip this rest, and the samosa will burst under heat. Old kitchens knew this instinctively. Modern lines schedule it by the minute. Next comes frying, the most dramatic stage. Samosas are lowered into large oil vats set at controlled temperatures. The oil is not scorching. That's a rule that never changed. Slow frying allows layers to separate, creating bubbles and that signature flaky crunch. Fast heat only hardens the shell and traps steam. As they fry, samosas turn from pale to golden, floating slightly when done. Sensors monitor time and color, but workers still watch closely. Color tells the truth machines sometimes miss. This step transforms raw effort into something recognizable. Dough, filling, patience, and heat finally meet. What comes out isn't just fried food. It's discipline made edible, shaped by rules older than the factory itself. Once the samosas leave the fryer, the work is far from over. This stage decides whether they reach customers crisp and intact, or arrive soggy and forgettable. Fresh from hot oil, the samosas are transferred onto cooling conveyors, where excess oil is allowed to drain naturally. No pressing. No stacking. That's another old rule still respected. Crush the samosa now, and all that careful layering is wasted. Airflow is controlled along the belt. Fans cool the samosas evenly, preventing trapped steam from softening the shell. In traditional kitchens, this was done by resting samosas on cloth-lined trays. Here, the principle is the same, just scaled up. Cool them slowly. Let them breathe. Next comes inspection. Workers scan every batch for cracks, leaks, or uneven color. A single broken shell can compromise an entire package later. Misshapen samosas are removed immediately. Not sold. Not hidden. That discipline comes straight from old kitchens where reputation mattered more than quantity. After inspection, samosas are sorted based on their final destination. Some are prepared for immediate sale, others for freezing. Freezing is done rapidly, locking in texture without damaging the crust. Timing is critical. Freeze too late, and moisture ruins crunch. Freeze too early, and the structure collapses. Factories test constantly to get it right. Packaging follows strict rules. Samosas are arranged with space between them, never crowded. Labels track batch time, oil temperature, and production line. This traceability protects consistency and safety, but it also preserves trust. By this point, the samosa looks complete, but its quality was decided long before this moment. Cooling, handling, and respect matter just as much as spices and frying. Grandmothers knew this instinctively. Factories survive by remembering it. This stage quietly proves that care doesn't end when the heat turns off. The final stage happens quietly, away from heat and noise, but it determines how the samosa will be remembered. Once packaged, boxes move into storage zones where temperature is monitored constantly. Nothing is left to chance. If conditions shift even slightly, texture and flavor can suffer days later. This is the last place mistakes are allowed, and even here, old rules still apply. Before shipment, random samples are pulled for testing. Workers break open samosas by hand, listening for that soft crackle of a proper shell. The filling is checked for balance, moisture, and aroma. Machines can measure weight and temperature, but crunch and smell still belong to human judgment. That instinct comes from kitchens where tasting was the final approval. Distribution begins next. Some samosas head to street vendors, others to restaurants, supermarkets, or export trucks. The destination changes, but the expectation doesn't. Every samosa must fry up the same way it did in the factory. Golden, crisp, reliable. That consistency is what keeps customers coming back, even if they never see where it was made. What's striking is how little the core philosophy has changed. Scale is bigger. Speed is faster. Steel replaced clay pots. But the rules remain familiar. Don't rush the dough. Respect the filling. Control the heat. Let food rest when it needs to. These weren't written in manuals first. They were learned in homes. Inside this factory, tradition doesn't disappear. It adapts. The samosa becomes proof that mass production doesn't have to erase memory. When done right, it carries it forward, thousands at a time. So the next time you bite into a samosa, remember this. Behind that crunch is not just machinery, but generations of quiet rules that refuse to be forgotten, even when the recipe had to feed the world. Even after shipping, the samosa's journey isn't finished. In many factories, a final reheating and refrying test is performed to simulate how customers will cook it at home or on the street. This step exists for one reason only: respect. Old kitchens always tested food the way it would actually be eaten. Frozen samosas are taken straight from cold storage and dropped into hot oil. Workers watch closely. A proper samosa should wake up slowly, not crack in shock. If the shell splits or absorbs oil too fast, the batch is flagged. That means something earlier was rushed. Oil quality is checked again here. Not by color alone, but by smell. If the oil carries bitterness, it's changed immediately. That rule predates factories by centuries. Bad oil ruins good food, no matter how skilled the cook. Texture is judged by sound. When the shell breaks, it should whisper before it snaps. Too loud means thick dough. Too soft means trapped moisture. These are details no machine can feel. Only hands, ears, and experience decide. If adjustments are needed, production is corrected upstream. Dough hydration is tweaked. Filling temperature is lowered. Resting time is extended. Nothing is ignored. That discipline keeps the recipe honest at scale. This stage exists because tradition assumes failure is possible. Grandmothers always tasted, adjusted, and tasted again. Factories that survive do the same. By the time a samosa reaches a plate, it has been questioned, tested, and proven multiple times. Not for perfection, but for reliability. The goal is simple. When someone bites in, it should taste the way it's supposed to, every single time. That's not automation. That's accountability, inherited and enforced long after the kitchen grew bigger than the hands that taught it. Quietly preserving flavor memory across distance, time, speed, volume, generations worldwide. And there you have it, the full journey of a samosa, from raw dough to golden, crispy perfection. What started in the factory as flour, potatoes, and spices became more than just a snack. It became a testament to patience, tradition, and generations of culinary wisdom scaled to feed thousands. Every crunch you hear carries the echoes of kitchens long before mass production, where careful hands and practiced instincts made sure every bite was just right. Next time you enjoy a samosa, remember the rules that never changed. Respect the dough, honor the filling, and let time do its work. If you loved stepping inside this world of flavor, don't forget to hit subscribe, because America's Lost Recipes will take you behind the scenes of more foods you thought you knew, revealing the secrets, stories, and traditions hidden in every bite. Your next favorite forgotten recipe is just one video away.